I'll turn to a project spotlight on Restrica. Please welcome Pascale Laborier, Commissioner of the Standing for Freedom exhibition and UXIL project lead. Please.
So thank you very much. I'm very honored to present our exhibition today with its link with a research creation project at University Paris-Nanterre and supported by PAUSE program and Open Society Foundation. The artist behind those photos that you see on the screen on my side is Pierre-Jérôme Adjedj, an artist based in Berlin, in Germany. First, I want to warmly thank all the colleagues of the team of PAUSE program, especially Laura Loéac, and also Amaryllis Quezada, who worked at that time with us on that project, very active. But above all, I want to thank all the colleagues and the person who agreed to pose to this project, making it possible. What is the exhibition background? It was originally created in France as an exhibition installation at the Cité du Design in Saint-Étienne, in France. An installation with transparent glasses, and it has since its creation been displayed in 25 countries, so worldwide, in France, in Belgium, almost in Germany, but also in the United States and Uruguay. Unfortunately, this international interest continues because of the increasing number of scholars forcing for displacement or danger for academic freedom worldwide. The University of Pittsburgh has just requested the exhibition through the current situation in the state. You can also have a look on part of the exhibition in this catalog. You can circulate if you want, which documents all the portrait and the story of the person of that exhibition, but of all the projects with 55 portraits. Perhaps you may wonder why we create this project and how we developed it. Or perhaps not, because here we are all engaged in supporting scholars at risk and artists at risk here. So it's not a question for you, but for almost the people, what is a scholar at risk or artist at risk is not an evidence. So, the beginning of that project, I meet Pierre-Jérôme Adjedj in East Germany, in Frankfurt an der Oder, in March 2017. And it was a week just before we launched with Laura Loéac the sponsor program for the PAUSE program to have more finance, private finance funding for the PAUSE program. But at that time in France, sometimes now again, we faced to a real challenge. How to speak about current exile. At that time it was Syria, Iraq, and Turkey. It was also the time of the terrorist attempt in France, which is a very, very difficult political situation in France. But always, when we spoke about that topic, the people always referring to historical example from the 30s, 40 years, so between the two world wars, But as we did this morning, the example of this morning again was we spoke from Marie Curie, perhaps not from Einstein or some other people, but it was also, we speak about last century. We have a history of welcoming academics, all our countries since a century, not only example of that success story from success story, bad stories, sad story from people from Germany and East through France sometimes or through other country to the state. Well, so we wanted to make a project about that topic to make visible what it is current exile, current displacement, but we want also to not just speak about that, because they are not exiled persons, they are colleagues. And we wanted to make something about their personal and professional trajectory and how they experienced a rupture, a disruption in this trajectory linked to a persecution, wars, or authoritarian repression. So we wanted to capture the full complexity of each person's trajectory, especially their professional life as academics and artists. So we asked each person to choose 4 objects from where they came, things representing where they are now, objects linked to their research, personal items, what they want to bring with them. I can explain one photo perhaps after that. And all the elements are, well, the picture are not so good, but all that elements are superimposed in a single photograph taken at one moment, one shot. There's no digital montage. This is creating like a visual palimpsest that represents the complexity of their identity. So this exhibition is now also connected to other new initiative, research initiative, because with other colleagues we have leading a digital program called Géorécit, How to Understand Exile. It's a deep mapping project online, and you can have some of the story on that digital project. But to make short and to conclude, beyond this artistic value of this exhibition, I'd like to emphasize the ethical dimension of that project. When the program for scholars of truth was created in France in 2017, or in Germany, Philippe Schwartz initiative in 2016, the primary goal was to help colleagues in danger. Building such a program of that time is certainly a matter of institution. But I see that fundamentally as an ethical matter. I think it's important to make our colleagues visible as persons, as colleagues, not as refugee or exiled person. It's important to understand the previous trajectory of those scholars and how they can integrate now into our university or artistic institution. We need to understand their previous past, to recognize how they enrich our communities and how to think about their future. And through this work, with Pierre-Jérôme, we hope that we can it was the topic of the panel. Our colleagues said a few people were at that panel, how to build more inclusive academic communities and very diverse experiences and knowledge. So you can have some people here, they took part of that project, thank you very much. One is Christina, she make a film now in the salle. And you see here that in these portraits, you can show, for example, the link side, it was Bouquet Tubrian, and she was working on a demonstration for feminists. And so it was her work to come with picture of women of demonstration. And here, for example, you see in the middle is someone who is working about music, and we mixed in this portrait an exhibition people who are also hosting the colleagues, because we want to make something like a trouble, because we are all colleagues, and the specificity of our academic communities is to have someone, a partner who understands what we are making for research or teaching, to be invited in an institution like a university. And for example, it's the first portrait. It was made in Berlin. It is Assis Wattensever, and she's working on academic precarity market. So it was the first model for the exhibition, because before to make such a project in France, we was working with a lot of colleagues in Berlin, because they were not linking institutionally with us. You know, it was very important to have a conversation how to make such a project, not to exotize our colleague, and we have to speak and chance in a safe space with the freedom of speak, not to impose a project. So that was very important that the project was based in Berlin for the first time, and the first presentation of the exhibition, because of the COVID, was not in France, but also in Berlin, in Germany. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the video and the catalog.